Hi, today we'll be discussing about adrenal gland and their hormones and their importance. Before going into this topic, first we need to have an idea what is a gland. Gland is an organ in human or animal body which secretes particular chemical substances for use in the body. Then, what is a hormone? Hormone is a regulatory substance produced in an organism and transported in tissue fluids such as blood to stimulate specific cells or tissues into action. Then, we go in depth about adrenal glands. These adrenal glands are small structures attached to the top of each kidney. The human body has 2 adrenal glands that release chemicals called hormones into bloodstream. Adrenals are first detected at 6 weeks of gestation period. Then, in depth about those glands are adrenal gland is composed of 2 distinct parts. The outer part called adrenal cortex and the inner part called adrenal medulla. Adrenal cortex produces 3 hormones. Those are mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids and adrenal androgens. First we'll see about mineralocorticoids. The mineralocorticoids released by this adrenal cortex is aldosterone. Aldosterone is useful in maintaining body salt and water levels, which in turn regulates blood pressure. Without aldosterone, kidney loses excessive amounts of salt and water, leading to severe dehydration and reduce in blood pressure. Then the next hormone in adrenal cortex is glucocorticoids. The main glucocorticoid released is named as cortisol. This hormone is involved in response to illness and also helps to regulate body metabolism. Cortisol stimulates glucose production, helping body to free up the necessary ingredients from storage, for example, fat into glucose. Cortisol also have significant anti-inflammatory effects. This cortisol also helps to stay healthy and energetic and controls both physical and psychological stress. At in danger levels, it increases heart rate, blood pressure and respiration too. Now, we discussed about mineralocorticoids, which balances the body salt and water levels, and then glucocorticoids, that is named as cortisol, which is a very important hormone, controls both physical and physiological stress responses. Then comes adrenal androgens. These are male sex hormones, mainly dehydroepiandrosterone, which is shortly named as DHEA, and testosterone. These are the 3 hormones released from adrenal cortex of adrenal gland present on each kidney. Then adrenocorticotropic hormone, which is secreted by anterior pituitary gland, primarily affects the release of glucocorticoids and adrenal androgens by adrenal gland. And also to some extent it also regulates aldosterone release. That is, adrenocorticotropic hormone has the ability to regulate all these hormones that are getting released by adrenal glands. Then the second part, as we discussed, that is adrenal medulla. Adrenal medulla produces catecholamines. Catecholamines include adrenaline, noradrenaline, and some amounts of dopamine. These hormones are responsible for all physiological characteristics of the stress response. This type of response is also known as flight or fight response. This is overall view of adrenal glands and their hormones released. Now, what are the problems we come across by this excess or underproduction of these hormones? In brief, we term it as Cushing's syndrome. Cushing's syndrome occurs by overactiveness of adrenal gland. That is, overproduction of cortisol happens in this type of syndrome. Some of clinical findings include thinning and bruising of skin, obesity, diabetes, psychiatric disturbances, high BP, muscle weakness, osteoporosis, and also excess facial hair and irregular periods are observed. Patients with cortisol excess also have impaired wound healing and an increased susceptibility to infection. So, we got an idea about the location of adrenal gland and the hormones released by that gland and their importance, and we have seen one of the problem commonly faced due to excess production of adrenal gland, that is Cushing's syndrome. Next comes Addison's disease. The second disease is Addison's disease. This is occurred due to underactive of adrenal gland. Some of the clinical findings include low BP, fatigue, weight loss, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and low blood sugar, and we also observe increased pigmentation on the skin. These are the two main problems we daily observe in case of any dysfunction of adrenal glands.